World of Warcraft is an addiction, but for millions of players who couldn't or wouldn't pay Blizzard Entertainment, that addiction found a different home. A lawless digital frontier known as private servers. Over the last decade, hundreds of these servers have risen, clashed, and collapsed into obscurity. But one empire weathered every storm: Warmane. It boasts a massive player base, immaculate scripting, and a legacy that outlived Blizzard's own official legacy projects. On the surface, it is the ultimate paradise for Wrath of the Lich King nostalgia. But empires are rarely built on good intentions. Welcome to the dark side of the biggest private World of Warcraft server in history, a multi-million-dollar corporation masquerading as a passionate fan project. Behind the nostalgic loading screens, like a meticulously engineered ecosystem driven by artificial lines, forced bribes, and a developer-sanctioned black market, a server that survived the greatest internal betrayal in MMO history, only to rebuild its throne out of the very pockets of the players it manipulated. Today we pull back the curtain on the corporate cartel running your favorite expansion. We're diving deep into the fake queues, the annual economic purges, the multi-box mechanics, and the ghost accounts that keep this machine breathing. Grab your gold, clear your cache, and let's talk about Warmane. Picture this. It's a Friday night. You've just finished a long week at work or school, and all you want to do is log into Dalaran, grab your guildmates, and run some dungeons. You boot up Warmane's flagship realm, Icecrown. You type in your password, hit enter, and you're hit with a brick wall. According to the counter on the website, there is 12,000 people currently playing on the server and more than 500 waiting just to get in. You're looking at a 1 hour plus wait. But Warmane has a solution for your impatience. Right here on their website is an offer. Donate just 10 euros, a one-time payment, and your account is granted the permanent premium status. And the biggest perk of premium? You get to skip the queue, instantly, forever. It feels like a massive win, right? $10 to never wait again on a completely free-to-play server. Millions of players have made that exact trade. But if you look closer at the numbers, you realize you didn't just buy convenience, you paid a ransom for a problem Warmane artificially engineered. For years the private server community has harbored a glaring open secret. Warmane's population numbers just don't add up. If you look at the server list, Icecrown consistently claims to host a staggering 12,000 active concurrent players during peak times. To put that in perspective, back in 2008, retail Blizzard servers capped out at around 3,000 to 4,000 players before hitting heavy lag and instancing issues. Yet Warmane claims to hold triple that amount on a single realm smoothly. But when you take a deeper dive into the actual number, the illusion shatters. Some time ago I took my time to investigate that case and to check out if the numbers are actually real. Well, Warmane actually stops you from checking that in-game, but I found something like a backdoor that I could use to actually test it. And according to my test, while the site was saying that there was more than 6,000 people online on both factions, my results were around 2,600 actual players online. But where are all of the people? If you truly had 6,000 people online, the low-level zones would be teeming with life. And most importantly, the random dungeon finder will instantly pop even for damage dealers. And the answer to this question is, they just don't exist. The community's theory, backed by independent server scraping tools like mine, is that Warmane actively inflates its own population metric using ghost accounts. or artificial gold injected into the logging server. By pretending the server is completely full, the system automatically triggers a massive logging queue, creating a digital bottleneck. This is psychological engineering at its finest. Warmane understands basic human psychology. Scarcity creates value, and frustration drives spending. By forcing you to stare at 3-hour wait times, they transform your free-to-play nostalgia into a agonizing chore. They make the free experience intentionally miserable, knowing that a €10 escape hatch is cheap enough for almost anyone to justify. It's a brilliant, highly predatory business model. They didn't build a game server, they built a digital toll booth. And it's a toll booth that has generated millions of dollars from a player base that thinks they're playing for free. But manipulating the queue was just the first step, because once they got players through the front door, Warmane realized they could monetize something much bigger: the very concept of the game itself. In the history of World of Warcraft, certain weapons carry a mythic status. At the absolute peak of that mountain sits Shadowmourne, a legendary two-handed axe forged from ice core and the souls of the damned. On official Blizzard servers, obtaining this weapon is grueling, multi-month odyssey. It requires a dedicated guild, dozens of successful raids into Icecrown Citadel, flawless execution of complex quest mechanics, and an immense amount of luck. It's a symbol of ultimate dedication. But on Warmane, you don't need a guild. You don't need to kill a single boss. And you certainly don't need luck. All you need is a credit card and 150 coins, equating to roughly €150. A few clicks in the web browser will bypass months of raiding and deposit the strongest weapon in the entire Wrath of the Lich King expansion straight into your level 80 mailbox. Welcome to the multi-million-dollar core of Warmane, the marketplace. Pay to win is nothing new in the private server scene. For over a decade, sketchy servers have sold high-tier gear to keep their lights on. But what sets Warmane apart isn't just that they sell gear. It's the corporate, systemic scale upon which they've completely normalized it. But direct item sales are only the tip of the iceberg. To truly understand the dark side of Warmane's economy, you have to look at how they didn't just break the game's reward loop, they turned the server into a developer-sanctioned black market. Warmane realized early on that if they only sold gear directly, they'd alienate the hardcore free-to-play grinder base that keeps the server populated, so they created the Trade tab. This is a legal, staff-moderated, real money trading ecosystem. Warmane players allowed to put their own leveled characters, earned items, and massive reserves of in-game gold up for auction on the website. The currency used? Coins. If a dedicated free-to-play grinder spends months gathering 500,000 gold, they can list that gold on the website. A whale can then come along, buy 150 coins with real cash, use those coins to purchase that player's gold, and then spend that gold on the in-game auction house. On paper, it looks like a win-win. The grinder gets premium currency without spending real money, and the whale gets the in-game wealth. But look at who wins the most. Warmane takes a transaction fee, a cut of the coins, on every single trade that occurs in their marketplace. They act as a central bank, laundering player labor into real-world corporate profit. They don't just tolerate gold buyers and gold sellers, they build the digital infrastructure to become the middleman for them. Not long after that came the coin hunters. The coin hunters are Warmane players who are farming vast amounts of gold in-game and selling them for coins on the website. And at first glance, it seems like something normal for Warmane. But there is a dark secret behind all of this. Most of these people who are selling the gold on the website are not just planning to spend their coins to buy Shadowmourne or some other item for their characters. After that, they are transferring these coins into real world money. And it seems that it's a lot easier than expected to actually sell coins for real world money, because when you go on Facebook, you can find multiple groups where people actually post coins for sale constantly. Sometimes there is up to 5 or 6 posts a day from different people. Also, there is quite a bit of Discord channels who are offering that kind of exchange. Not to mention that there is even websites that you can actually visit and buy coins from. On paper, Warmane has an extremely strict policy about trading in-game goods or coins for real world money. But how do they react to all of this? What have they done? Nothing. They did absolutely nothing. As a regular player without any special access to anywhere, I found 5 places where I can actually buy gold or coins for 30 minutes. And can you try to imagine if Warmane, such a big corporation, actually decides to strike these people down? I think that they can do so in 48 or less hours, because they can just go on the websites and the Discord channels, they can try to buy coins and instantly ban and delete the accounts of the people who actually have the coins in them. But for so many years, they never managed to have a strong reaction against this, despite saying it's completely forbidden, which makes me ask myself the question, are they actually involved in all of this black market coin trading? And the short answer to this question is most likely yes. Because if you were on Warmane's place and you actually try to squeeze every single penny that you can from your player base, creating a completely pay-to-win server, advertising it as free to play, would you just stay on the side and watch how everything like this can freely happen? A normal player can buy coins and it's not gonna take him more than 10 minutes to find them. And you, as a big corporation, making millions allegedly, just stay and watch how this happens and do nothing. It sounds pretty strange to me. By legalizing real money transactions under their own umbrella, Warmane created a terrifyingly efficient closed-loop economy. A player buys gold with coins, he uses that gold to buy materials, crafts items, sells them back for more gold, and feeds the cycle. But this massive unregulated financial machine created an existential crisis for the server. When real money is tied directly to an infinite farmable digital resource like gold, hyperinflation isn't just a threat, it's a mathematical certainty. And the way that Warmane chose to solve this inflation is perhaps the most ruthless economic mechanic ever implemented in a video game. They call it the gold squish. In any economic system, if you keep printing money without restriction, you trigger a death sentence, hyperinflation. And in a game like World of Warcraft, where gold can be farmed 24 hours a day by automated programs and relentless player networks, the death sentence accelerates at a blinding speed. By allowing players to legally trade their in-game gold for real money, coins on their website, Warmane created a massive problem. The server was drowning in gold, the value of the currency was plummeting, prices on the auction house were skyrocketing, and the entire economic machine was on the verge of a total meltdown. If the economy collapses, the whales stop buying coins, the farmers stop selling them, and Warmane's multi-million-dollar cash flow dries up overnight. They needed a radical solution to keep gold scarce, prices stable and the player base desperate. So they introduced an event that strikes terror into the heart of every player who doesn't spend their wealth immediately. An annual financial execution known simply as the Gold Squish. Every single year, usually in early March, Warmane deploys a script across its high-rate realms. With a single press of a button, the system automatically, ruthlessly deletes exactly 50% of all gold across the entire server. It doesn't matter if your gold is sitting in your character's bag, tucked away in your personal bank, stored in a guild vault, or tied up in active mail transactions. If you have 100,000 gold on the night of the squish, you log in the next morning to find 50,000. Publicly, the administration paints this as a heroic act of economic stabilization. They claim it's a necessary evil to keep the auction house fair for new players and prevent the market from bloating out of control. But if you look past the corporate PR, the dark side of this mechanic becomes blindingly obvious. The Gold Squish isn't just an economic reset, it's a highly calculated tool designed to enforce artificial scarcity and drive players right back to the cash shop. Think about how this alters players' behavior. Knowing that half of your hard-earned wealth will be deleted at the end of the year, saving gold becomes completely pointless. Players are forced into a state of panic, buying as the deadline approaches. They desperately dump their gold into materials, mounts, or gear just to preserve some value. But here is the catch: there is only one type of currency on Warmane that is completely immune to the annual purge. And that is the premium currency you buy with real money or trade for on the black market. Never drops by a single percent. It retains its absolute value all year around. By systematically destroying the value of standard in-game labor, Warmane subtly, psychologically forces the community to rely on the coin economy. If you want to buy an expensive item after the squish, but your gold reserves were just slashed in half, you're faced with a choice. Spend months refarming what was stolen from you, or log onto the website, pull out your credit card and buy the coins to get it instantly. The Gold Squish keeps the players poor, the market desperate, and the donation portal flooded with cash. But manipulating the currency was only half the battle. To keep this massive central bank functioning, Warmane needed raw labor to keep moving the markets, an endless automated workforce that operates in the shadows, day and night. An army of ghosts that the administration completely refuses to exterminate. If you step out of the major capital cities of Warmane and fly over to the high-level zones of Northrend, you will eventually witness a phenomenon that feels less like a fantasy game and more like a dystopian assembly line. Dozens, sometimes hundreds of identical characters moving in perfect eerie synchronization. They don't chat, they don't deviate from their pathing, they don't make human mistakes. They are an army of ghosts, automated botting programs operating 24 hours a day, stripping the world bare of every single mining node, herbalism plant, and gold-dropping monster in their path. On any official retail game server, a botting operation of this scale would trigger immediate sweeping ban waves. Developers spend millions trying to keep automated software out of their games to protect the economy. But on Warmane, the bots don't just survive, they thrive. For years the player base has complained, posting endless video proofs on forums, subreddits, of the exact same botting trains running the exact same loops for months on end, yet the mass bans never seem to come. And the reason for this willful blindness is simple: Warmane just needs the bots. Think back to the annual Gold Squish. If the administration deletes half of the server's currency every February, they create a massive sudden void. If the server stays completely broke, players get frustrated and quit. The economy stagnant completely. To keep the wheel turning, the server needs a massive influx of raw, cheap labor to instantly start pumping gold back into the system. The bots act as the central bank automated printing press. They generate the raw materials and currency that keep the auction house fluid, active, and of course, hyperinflated. But there is a secondary, even more brilliant layer to this corruption. When bots flood the market, they drive down the value of honest player labor. A regular player spending 2 hours gathering herbs can no longer compete with an army of scripts doing it for 24 hours straight. In-game gold becomes devaluated. And when a regular gameplay stops rewarding you fairly for your time, the temptation to skip the grind altogether becomes overwhelming. Why spend days competing with an unbreakable army of automated scripts just to get out-farmed, when you can just log onto the Warmane store, spend 24 euros on coins and buy whatever you want instantly? The bots aren't a flaw of Warmane's design, they are an essential gear in the machine. They break the spirit of the average grinder, ensuring that the only viable path to the true wealth on the server runs directly through the administration's pocket. From a server which was supposed to be completely free to play. To understand the true scale of the wealth flowing into this empire, you have to look past the gold economy entirely. You have to look at the status symbols that exist on the server, the absolute pinnacle of luxury in World of Warcraft. Take the black Qiraji resonating crystal. It grants the iconic black scarab mount from the historic opening of the gates of Qiraji. On Warmane, the script for that opening event doesn't even exist, making the mount completely unobtainable through natural gameplay. Yet, as you walk throughout Azeroth, you will see players riding them. How? Because Warmane has effectively weaponized exclusivity. To even see this mount listed on the digital web store, your account must possess an exalted status. And on Warmane, you don't earn exalted status with reputation points. You earn it by donating over 1000 euros in cold hard cash. Once you cross that 1000 euro threshold, a sudden VIP store unlocks and the mount itself costs an additional 150 coins to buy. Now the administration will point out that technically any player can win this mount through the weekly website lottery system. But considering the mathematical reality, only a tiny handful of people actually win it via the lottery each year. I've done some research and I found out that we had the scarab mount only 95 times on the lottery for 7 years. The vast majority of those scarab mounts you see standing around in Azeroth weren't won by a stroke of luck. Every single one represents someone who willingly handed over more than 1000 euros for a collection of pixels on a private server, or simply won the lottery. And the monetization doesn't stop at mounts. Want your standard epic weapon to look like a legendary blade like Thunder Fury? You can't farm that in-game, you have to buy a Scroll of Illusion directly from the store for 50 coins, the real world equivalent to 50 euros, just to change a weapon skin. Multiply those 50 euros and 1000 euro accounts by thousands of players for over a decade, and the number becomes staggering. Warmane is no longer just a passionate fun project, it's a highly optimized multi-million-dollar financial institution built right on the top of a classic video game. They didn't just recreate the game we loved, they built a system that deletes your money, lets an army of automated ghosts farm the land, and forces you to pay real cash just to bypass the inflation they engineered. It's brilliant, it's cutthroat, and it's the most successful private server in history. Because in the world of Warmane, the house always wins. So, is Warmane a broken system? Or is it exactly what the community wanted? Perhaps that's the most unsettling truth of all. As long as there are players willing to pay to skip the grind, there will always be a server happy to sell them the shortcut. The game ends, but the business of nostalgia, that just keeps on going. Of course, none of this is mandatory. At the end of the day, Warmane is a completely free-to-play service. You aren't forced to participate in the store. You aren't forced to buy the shortcuts. You always have the choice to ignore the shop, play the game as it is, and grind for your own rewards. But the system is designed to nudge you, to frustrate you, and to offer the store as a clean exit from that frustration. We play games to escape reality, not to get caught in another one. Thank you for watching and keep on asking questions. I do all of this for you, because you deserve to know what happens behind the curtain of the games we love. I appreciate every single one of you. See you in the next chapter.